not just my work that has the most importance, it's the material I create with has the most importance. Everything I create with has history, has a story, and a legacy behind it that needs to be told. The life of the material needs to live on, and I am just the catalyzer between the material and the finished product. So this is the fabrication shop, R&D, research and development. So this is one particular piece that's getting put together currently. We're using Douglas fir that was taken from the first floor of the aluminum goods manufacturing building that was built in 1911. This particular flooring had maple decking over the top of it. What creates the staining in the nail holes was that this wood was actually submersed underwater for, I am guessing, about 13 years before we got to it, took the maple decking off of it, and then reclaimed the subfloor, which was laying in a bed of sand on top of a concrete foundation. This was the floor in the buildings that housed two-story presses, which during the war effort was a major supplier for the United States Navy, Air Force, and Army. So there's a lot of history behind this wood. This is a 19-inch Tanowitz table saw that was built back in the early 1950s. This was a saw that was used at the Hamilton Manufacturing Company. I saw it at an auction, and I had to get it. This is a 1930s Oliver multi-sander. We've got the disc sander, which is a 30-inch disc, and this is an oscillating as well. So this one goes up and down vertically and spins. My grandpa's old bandsaw, I do believe this was from the 30s as well, but this one's been in the basement of my grandparents' house when I started woodworking. It's one of the machines that inspired me to actually take on woodworking, and been using it since about 4th grade. So went through a lot of bandsaw blades on that baby, and got a lot of memories with it too. So these furniture components are in the process of being designed. This is that research and development portion of things again. One of the main things that I do use in the shop quite a bit is the old hand planes. Not all of the machines today are able to provide the type of end product that I may be looking for. Hand tools are a must. The old tools, even the old machinery is one of the foundation blocks of being able to produce a good end product. This is a Frank Clement Machine Company joiner. This joiner still has the Babbitt bearings to it to date the machine. It's a late 1800s. It's a 16-inch wide pattern maker machine. I restored this piece about 3 years ago. The newest, oldest piece that I just acquired, and it is from an old boat building shop here in Two Rivers. It is a 28-inch crescent bandsaw from the late 1800s as well. It still has the Babbitt bearings. Restoring the finish on this, gonna get the new guide bearings put on, put a brand new 3-phase servo motor on there so we can do an electric control of the blade speed right on the fly. So we're gonna kind of combine new technology with the old machinery to create a one-of-a-kind machine. Here's one of my first machines, the drill press. Grandpa let me use this machine first, besides the hand drill. This one is the one that I fired up first at probably the age of about 7 years old. Been using this one side by side with that old bandsaw. Been with me since day one. So the building itself is part of an old building supply, and this was their sash and window department where they manufactured old windows, replacement windows back in the day. There's a rail yard that came in through the backside here and brought materials. This building here is a late 1800s. I'm more attracted to the industrial structures, the structures where generations of people worked in. People's great-grandfathers worked here, their grandfathers, their fathers, and them. And to see these buildings go down that were built the way nothing else today is built really got me thinking that these components need to be saved. So I started going to these demo sites and asking, hey, what are you going to do with this material? And I started collecting a lot of the material. And I started going in and saving factory windows and saving bricks After the building was tore down, a couple of the largest structures and most notable historic structures here in Manitowoc County started being demolished. One of them was the aluminum goods manufacturing, which is also known as the Mural, and the other one was Hamilton Manufacturing. These buildings were composed of timbers, longleaf pine, riveted iron, gears, lighting, flooring, anything badass, anything with rivets, any sort of metal-shaped, formed steel that when you look at it, you go, how in the hell did they make that? That's the kind of stuff I was after. This particular shop, it is now my metal working department, thanks to Baileigh Industrial. This is a table that's produced using components all from Two Rivers. This is the old 17th Street bridge gear. It was the drive gear for one of the leafs. So that's gonna be a table that'll have a glass top. It'll have some standoffs coming here to suspend that glass so it looks like it's hovering over the top of this assembly. This drill press is another piece here. This has actually a label on it. It was part of the United States Navy. This was used during the war effort. We just got this about a year ago. This is another restoration piece that I'm going to be working on alongside with that bandsaw. This was used in the war effort in Manitowoc, I do believe for shipbuilding with the submarines. These are two separate doors taken from the old Kraft cheese cold storage in Green Bay. These doors were taken from two different locations within the building and now being restored. This is the look of the final product. This is what it looks like before it gets turned into this. These pieces here are the water intake grates from the Glencoe public water supply. I do believe these were implemented turn of the century, 1900, and they were delivered to me about 3 years ago by Northern Divers, and we're going to turn these into some really cool pieces of furniture. These timbers that they are sitting on are from the Case, the J.I. Case tractor factory in Racine, Wisconsin. These were out of one of the very old portions of the building from the 1880s, and they are just absolutely massive, 20 inches wide, 8 inches thick, and 20 feet long. These are soon to be pieces of artwork slash furniture for inside of this fella's company's office here. It's kind of going all together. Over here's my new Baileigh roller. This is new to me. I've always been going to other people's shops and borrowing their rollers, including Baileigh Industrial themselves in their showroom. You know, I have to beg Shane to come in and, you know, do sample. I need to make sure that the machines work, so I offer to use them and make my own parts with them. But this is what my end product is for using this machine is mostly running round bandings for our round tables, using the industrial flooring from the old factories as the table surfaces. So put that down, and then we have to get that banded and cover those edges where the tongue and groove is. I purchased this machine. This is one of the first Baileigh machines that I did purchase. And it was my first introductory step into the metalworking, and I knew I needed one of these machines to start with. I could get stuff welded, but I have to cut my material. I mean, it's very accurate. I really enjoy this machine. I wouldn't be able to do the things I do today without this machine. One of the most important saws that I have. This is the new Baileigh welder. This is the BW200MP. This one here, I did a little research on this. I bought the biggest one that they have with the most versatile function to it because I'm a woodworker. I'm not a welder. So all I have to do is come up to this machine, plug in the size of the wire that I'm using, the gauge of the wire, the type of gas, put in my thickness of steel. It already senses the type of power that I have it hooked up to, if it's 110 or 220. And I hit go, and I can lay a nice smooth weld all day long. It is just, it's great. And it has totally changed the face of the business. Between being able to cut steel and weld it together, and then combine the steel with the wood components, is just a level that I had never thought that I'd be on. There's a lot of pros to this company, and it's not your normal machinery company. I'm not bound to just what they have. They have so many options, and so much diversity when it comes to the metal and the woodworking machinery, that with Baileigh, there's not much you cannot accomplish in the fabrication industry. This component that Baileigh has brought to the fabrication industry through social media has probably been the most important component in fabrication, far more important than any tool or bit of knowledge that anybody could give you. Money can't even buy this type of connections that Baileigh puts forward, and I think that's a step above and beyond tool manufacturer or sales company does for its customers. So this building is kind of the architectural storage area, doors, planer shop, dust collection area in here, and so everything in this building that is material has a story, a history, a legacy that has been saved. It's been saved from the landfill, it's been saved from rot and destruction, and it's waiting on its assignment for its new life, pretty much. But this is kind of where it starts, when I need to start doing some brainstorming and thinking about the components that I want to incorporate into the furniture. I come in here and I walk around and I get lost for a couple hours. This is one of those fancy Baileigh dust collectors. One of the main things to keep a shop safe, especially when woodworking, is keeping the dust level down. So these machines are a must. Everything from hand-carved doors to old windows to brass handrails, from old staircases to eyewash showers from the 1940s. This is the building where I keep most of my factory flooring. The factory flooring is mostly maple decking, and it can be some longleaf pine as well, or heart pine. But this is where I warehouse it, keep it until I come up with a project or a place to put it, and then we'll take the material, we'll process it, and get it to the customer. We can incorporate it into floors, wall cladding, furniture pieces, and just about any other types of ideas to implement it that the customer might come to me with. Most of this material at its youngest age would be about 300 years old, 350 years old. And some of it, being the longleaf pine, could be upwards of 4, 5, well, maybe even 600 years old at this time. So I'm trying to carry on other people's legacies by salvaging these materials that have this historical meaning behind them, so that it's not just about my legacy, it's about saving other people's legacies and having those stories carry on.